I'm Verg with Scott Sports, Western Demo, as well as Abbey Tools Ambassador. So I'm just here at Abbey Tools in Bend, Oregon. Going to give you a run through of my toolbox. Started with a Pelican 1510 case with wheels and a handle. Medium-sized case, not super big, not super small. Enough room for everything I need, plus a little bit of room to expand. I end up dealing with multiple drivetrains, multiple brakes, so I need a little bit more tools than maybe a lot of team people would be because of my position at Scott. Start up top here with my work mat as well as most commonly used tools. I built the tool case to have commonly used tools first accessible. For my demos, a set of beta sliding T-handles, as well as in hex, as well as Torx. So 2.5 to 8 hex, and then T10, T25, and T30 Torx. In addition to that, I have 2 Abbey 4-ways. This is my most commonly used one. T25, 4, 5, and 6 Allen, so covers 95% of what I need to do at work with a demo bike. Saddle height, lever position, that kind of thing. My second one is a mix of Allen and torque, T10, T30, which is suspension pivots on Scott, as well as 2.5 and 3. So with these 2 tools, I can do most of my job and assemble or kind of tune most of a demo bike. The great thing about these is Abbey will build them to your spec. So if you want a different fitment, if you want a Phillips or a flat blade, if you want all Allens, if you want all Torx, you can actually custom order them with whatever blade or whatever bit you want in it. High quality German bits as well. So this is, as you can see from the marks on the aluminum, well used for probably 3 or 4 years, and the bits are still running good. So that's kind of work mat as well as mainly used tools. These 2 tiers, we have the top of the box and the bottom of the box, or the top pallet, are all commonly used tools. So I built it so commonly used tools up top, so ideally I don't have to dig into the bottom of the boxes when I'm working. I can open it, be ready to go 90% of the time. Mix of Kaizen foam up top, and then the pallets below are Kaizen foam with an ABS plastic base. Up here, starting up here, we have Wera screwdrivers, Wera bit drivers, so 2, 2.5, and 3 bit drivers for derailleur, limit screws, that kind of thing. A little 1/4 inch mini driver. I don't use screwdrivers that much on bikes anymore, but this is a multi-bit driver, 1/4 inch bit from Wera. Extends, which is really cool. Little switchblade screwdriver, as well as has bit storage inside. So a mix of Phillips or Star as well as flat blades. So that covers most of the screwdrivers I need. I have some bits in other places if I need to use that with other bits. Up top, Shimano little flashlight with a flexible head, as well as a head that's small enough to fit in most cable ports. So really good for internal routing. You can snake this into a frame and kind of see what you're doing. Little magnetic base too, which is kind of cool. So if you're working on something, it'll actually magnet to stuff. Below that, Abbey Team Issue tie hammer with a punch inside. So it's really good if you can to use as much storage as possible. Since I only use the punch with the hammer, it makes sense to have these tools together. I was able to just put some foam inside and modify a bar end plug to hold that in place. Below that, Abbey Tools HAG or hanger alignment gauge. Lightweight, compact, as well as very accurate, very high tolerance in this sliding feature here, no play, as well as this has a set screw and it's adjustable to take out any tension if it develops. One great thing about this is it'll actually pivot. So if you're using it on a bike that has racks or fenders, you can actually pivot it out of the way to get your 3 points. So up high at 90, down below at 90. So because it pivots, you don't have to reset it and use your index point or your reference point. Super important with multi-speed bikes to have accurate derailleur hanger alignment. Below that, Wera 1/4 inch drive torque wrench. Most of my tools will be Wera and Abbey. Really good luck with Wera. I like the way the handles fit my hands, and most of the ergonomics are great. So 1/4 inch drive torque wrench, 1/4 inch bit set from Hazit, with a couple of adapters. So Allen set, Torx set, commonly used to go with the adapter as well as the 1/4 inch, or to go with the torque wrench as well as the 1/4 inch wrench I have. Fast cap marker. So this is actually what's used to trace around the tools. It's a long nose marker, so it'll get around the tool and allow you to accurately trace the cut. It's silver, so it shows up on the Kaizen foam. So super handy if you're cutting your own box. This makes it a lot easier. Sharpie, super handy as well. Always need those. This is a cool little just ballpoint pen from my friend Carry It Cord PDX. Has little mini screwdriver in the back, which is convenient, not really used. Has a ruler on the outside and a couple different scales, which is rad, as well as a tiny little level. So great for measuring saddles, anything like that. So multi-use tools are always good, save space. So going over here, got a set of Klein scissors, super sharp, really good scissors, small, again, does what it needs to. I don't need giant scissors, so I don't carry giant scissors. Wear Allen wrench set, as well as torque wrench set. They're shorter handles because my main sets for Allen and Torx are the Beta T handles over here. So this is a backup set. Here we have Wolf Tooth Pack Pliers, which is a Master Link plier set, as well as storage for chain Master Links. This is for valve core wrenches, spare chainring bolt, as well as a tire lever. It's the smallest Master Link pliers I can find. I use it as a main tool for my toolbox, but I also carry one in my pack for like mountain biking, road cycling, that kind of thing. Msw tire levers, they're basically a knockoff of a Michelin tire lever from years ago. Super stiff, super thin with a really good hook. So very stiff for a small, thin tire lever. The Michelin ones were the best. I don't think they've made one in a while. I still have one floating around. These are really good knockoffs. SKS digital pump for checking tire pressure. Super important on mountain bikes. Within a couple PSI is a massive difference. So really you want to be within a half PSI at most. So digital makes it a little bit easier. Down the bottom pallet, again, pretty commonly used tools. Tiny little Knipex tweezers. Just a little steel rule with another set of tweezers underneath. Tweezers are really good for, removing debris from tires. They're also really good for internal routing. That works. Fox digital shock pump, accurate and repeatable, which is super important with suspension. To be able to adjust forks within a half PSI and consistently put in the same pressure is very important. These are consistent, which is just as much important as an accurate reading. A couple different companies make a digital shock pump. I use the Fox one, it works great. Below that, Abercrombie, which is a cassette tool. So this is kind of the tool that Jason first made that started Abbey tools. Campy on one side, Shimano or SRAM S group on the other side is what they call it. Hollow handle, so it's lighter, which helps. I cut mine down a little bit so it's more compact to fit in my box. Next to that, Abbey Team Issue pedal wrench, cut out for lighter weight, 15 mil standard pedal wrench, and then a 6 and an 8 hardened steel bit. So very sturdy, actually takes off all pedals versus having to reach for multiple wrenches, which is great at demos because I'm taking off and putting on multiple types of pedals. Pro internal routing tool has connections to run internal routing on bikes, E-tube, and then 2 connections for either hydraulic hose or brake or shift cable, magnets to help run through. One compact tool, which is nice. It doesn't fall apart. Everything's there when you need it. Stores well. Holotech tool, compression cap tool for Shimano's. Little star bit, allows you to tighten preload on Shimano Holotech 2 cranks. Also saddle height bullet, so this integrates in, allows you to get a consistent reference for saddle height. This indexes into the crank. This allows your, with a little magnet, holds your tape measure. Stan's valve core tool, pretty standard. This is another Abbey tool, decade chain tool, so newer tool from about a year ago-ish. Does multi-speed chains. Also, because of the design, is the ability to kind of like adapt forward. So this is what they call a mid plate. That is interchangeable, allows you to run multi-speed chains, which is currently set up for. 1/8" chain if you're doing track. Unbolts, replaces it, so one tool can do multiple different chain fitments, as well as SRAM flat top, or the new road chains require a different mid plate. Inside is spare bit storage, as well as the grub screw that's there to pin campy chains. So this will do current multi-speed chains as well as pin campy chains correctly, which is super important. So again, having multiple tools, when you can have one do multiple things, is multiple tools take up space and cost money. So one tool saves weight, saves hassle. Next to that, CDI torque wrench, mini just breakaway torque wrench, 2 to 8 Newton meters for stems, bars, grips, you know, controls, that kind of thing. Very important, as well as the bit set next to it from Wera. So just a Wera bit set in a generic holder. 2 to 6, as well as T25 and T30. Little tiny tape measure from Shimano. SAE and metric allows me to run both. This is a Kaizen knife, so it's from the company that make the Kaizen foam. It's got a very thin blade, so it allows you to actually turn and follow contours, so really helps when cutting your foam pallets out. So I would recommend, if you're doing it, either go with like the hot knife, like Brad Copeland showed in his video, or use the Kaizen razor blade and the Kaizen marker. Most of my pliers are going to be Knipex. Found that smaller pliers work great. I don't need giant pliers on bikes. There's usually a better tool than pliers in most instances. So I have a flesh cutter for cutting zip ties, cutting small stuff. That's a 5-inch. This is a 5-inch needle nose. Again, general purpose tool. Knipex is very high quality, really good tools. Jumping over here to the other 2 Knipex pliers, what they call a Pliers Wrench. So I carry a 180 or a 6-inch, or excuse me, 7-inch, and then a 150, so a 6-inch. Sliding parallel jaws, so the jaws are always parallel, works great with bolts, as well as actually tightens it. So it's basically a better kind of engineered crescent wrench or adjustable wrench. Great, do everything, allows you to replace a lot of tools if you're running a lightweight box. Next to this in the middle is an old set of Velcro cable cutters. These are probably 30 years old. I was gifted them from Joe Sanschulte, one of the first guys I started working races with in about 2005. He had them for 15 or 20 years, so 30-year-old tools that still work great today. If you buy quality tools, they last. So as an investment, it's always cheaper to buy tools once that are good than buy cheap tools twice. So coming back up, we have some Wera ratchets, so 3/8 and 1/4-inch drive. 1/4-inch drive will be used with some of the bits. 3/8-inch drive will be used for bottom bracket sockets, top cap sockets that I'll show you later. Swivel head, which is great. Very fine tooth count, and it actually locks in place and can be used like a screwdriver, which is pretty cool. So again, Wera tools make great stuff. That's that middle pallet. Again, Kaizen foam up top, ABS plastic, which I think is 3/16 with Velcro, double-sided Velcro connecting it. That way, if I need to replace this foam piece, I can replace it without having to totally rebuild the base. So if tool fitment changes. Here in our middle pallet, we have some extra space, which is always good when you're building a box. Fitment change, job description change, bike technology changes, so leaving some extra space to add tools is a really good idea when you're building your toolbox. Starting over here with some disc brake tools, compression fitting tool to insert compression fitting into hydraulic lines, disc brake hose trimmer, super easy, quick, clean cut, which is important for leak-free seals. Also important for leak-free seals is the compression nut needs to be tightened to the correct torque. So here's a 8mm crow's feet, which allows you to run the 1/4-inch drive torque wrench. So this guy to tighten it to correct torque. Couple files here, inside deburr. So to deburr the inside of seat posts if you cut them, handlebars on the end, if you cut steer tubes, really quick way to deburr that. This is kind of a cool little guy, metric thread repairing file. So if you damage threads on a bolt, this actually is designed to cut threads, or clean up threads, I guess is a better way to put it, but it's set up so it has the different pitches. So it actually has grooves to correspond to the different pitches. So a lot easier than using like one of these files to try to clean up threads if there's some damaged threads. Pretty inexpensive, covers all standard metric sizes, so pretty easy way to save some stuff that may have been damaged, especially if you're out in the field and don't have spares. It's the Gerber Freescape Saw, so it's actually supposed to be a wood cutting saw, but it'll take 12-inch hacksaw blades with a little modification. So it's the only great folding hacksaw. But basically, you would insert the blade in between these two, lock this, and then you have a folding hacksaw. Don't use a hacksaw that much, but when you need one, it's the only tool to use. So lightweight, it's basically aluminum, as well as pretty handy and quick to set up and deploy. So again, a lot of space for extra tools if we need to add them later, which I'm sure I will. Less commonly used tools in the top 2 pallets, as well as this. So build your box so the commonly used tools are easily accessible. In the base, we have a divider of Trek Pack. So it's a corrugated plastic material with foam on either side. So corrugated plastic like signboard with some foam to protect the contents. It's also made by Pelican, so you can get it custom cut for a lot of their cases. I cut mine down in height and kind of modified it from stock, but it's a great thing to make kind of adjustable dividers in the bottom of a toolbox. Over here have some greases, special grease or the Shimano green grease, sometimes called Dura Ace grease, non-special grease, which is just a generic kind of assembly grease, carbon assembly paste, which is grease with grit basically. So a couple greases over here. On this side we have a couple other I guess supplies. So thread Loctite of two types, and then a sleeve retaining compound for bearing, press fitting, BBs, that kind of thing. Over here, some suspension top cap sockets from Abby. So 3/8" drive to go with the Wera ratchet that we have up top. Flush ground, so very small chamfer, so going to interface with the top cap of suspension sockets. Aluminum, so it's going to be non-marring and very close tolerance. So suspension top cap sockets are shallow, need a flush ground wrench to properly tighten or loosen them without marring it. And it's very visible if you do mar those. Next to that, some other suspension tools. Suspension seal press from Abby, or fork seal press drivers. So threads together, you have basically your press there, threads to the handle, aluminum impact surface, or steel impact surface, aluminum handle, and this integrates with the upper bushing, so it aligns to the upper bushing, so you're going to be pressing your seal in accurately and straight. They come in 32, 34, 35, and 36 currently, so 32, 34, 35, and 36 millimeters, corresponding to most RockShox and Fox forks. There'll be some additional fitments coming along. In here's a couple of bottom bracket tools, double-sided tool for Ultegra and Dura Ace, again 3/8" drive. So does the 2 common smaller fitment patterns on external bottom brackets from Shimano. This is the original Holotech 2 fitment pattern. It also works with center lock rings for disc brakes. It's taller, so it'll clear the end of hub for disc brake rotors. As well as 12 and 13 notch oversized BB tools from Abby. So different fitments, but pretty commonly used external BB tools. Try to keep more commonly used ones if possible in here. This is a little star nut setter that Jason made for me. Small, compact, lightweight chunk of aluminum, way lighter than any other star nut setter and works better than just hammering it in with a bolt. Over here is a socket Crombie. So this can be used to either check torque on a cassette lock ring, or it can also be used to remove top cap sockets on some RockShox forks. So basically the same as the Crombie chain whip combo with the Crombie cassette tool, it's just a socket version. Over here, some Beta, which is the same company that makes the T-handles. Open end wrenches, 16-17. So the cool thing with these is there's 2 sizes on one, so I'm able to have half as many tools in the toolbox, save some weight, save some space. Those are from Pegasus Auto Racing is where I got my Beta tools. Great Italian tools. In here we have Abby bearing presses. So the micro bearing press with drifts for hubs and smaller bearings, suspension bearings, suspension pivots, as well as some smaller hub bearings. Thrust bearing, very low effort to turn. So the right way to install suspension bearing sockets and vice grips and everything are not the correct way to do that. As well as the headset press. So this is going to cover bottom bracket as well as headsets press fit. So this one has a thrust bearing. This is the handleless version. So it has a 8mm broach to use with our 8mm wrench for torque if you need it. I found that you don't need much torque on this. There's such low effort from the design of the tool that I don't usually need a tool to press in a bottom bracket cup. I can usually use my hand. Butt fitments for dub, 30mm, so PF30, BB30, 24mm spindle, and then 22, which is the non-drive side of GXP. So most common BB fitments, drifts for that come with the tool. Put that guy's back. Over here, some small parts. Underneath my small parts is my spoke tools. So DT Swiss Squarks, NV Square, as well as just a standard DT Swiss spoke wrench there. A little space to add a couple more tools if needed. And this is just small parts, little bits, housing, end caps, cable crimps, chain master links, various hydraulic hose fittings for disc brakes, some headset spacers, valve cores, water bottle bolts, and some miscellaneous bolts, just some kind of odds and ends that come in handy and you need while working on bikes. I think that's most of it. So again, Pelican 1510 case with a mix of Kaizen foam and Trek pack dividers. It's a good way to go. It's modular. It allows you to kind of build your own kit, keep it lightweight, keep it modular. If you need to, you can just replace one layer and don't have to go full in. It allows you to build the kit that you need for your application. So that's it. I'm Verg from Abbey Bike Tools and Scott Sports. Have a nice day.